Hi guys, do you need to wonder very much as why you see me here again? 3 consecutive days in a row? Oh yeah, I am here again to speak about I am Mara. What did I call him yesterday? The Black Jesus of YouTube. Yes, I think I am Myra is the Black Jesus of YouTube. Why? Well, first of all, he is the age of Christ. Did any of you realize that Myra is a young adult and that Jesus was a young adult? He is the age of Christ. And the other reason why is because of his notoriety, right? A lot of us, he gets us really, really angry because he is a maverick. So Jesus was a maverick. So this is why I call Myra the Black Jesus of YouTube. So Myra, guess where I am? I'm in Miami. All right, I know you want to come down here for the Latino girls. I know. All right, and I know if you once you come down here, you're gonna want to say goodbye to Priya, and you're waiting. So I have a message for Ivan. Ivan, do me a favor. Okay, keep our Black Jesus in Maryland so he can learn some more about us Black people and the trials of us Black people, because I feel as if he is learning a lot about becoming proud in us in Maryland, and I think he needs more of that education. All right, because I know he wants to come down here and chase after the Latino girls, and forget about the black trials. This young man has a lot of talent and ability, potential to really improve our Black community once he stops ignoring it. But right now he's still young and is in denial of our Black realities, and he doesn't care. Anyway, he's doing great on YouTube and he's focusing on YouTube. He's not really focusing on our themes. And I guess it'll be as such until he finds a rude awakening, which would awaken him to what being Black is all about. Because a lot of Africans do not understand the story of the African American. They did not go through the Middle Passage. They stayed home where the story still developed, but in a different avenue, and therefore they did not have the struggles that we had, okay? Because they didn't go through the Middle Passage. They didn't have to cross that Atlantic Ocean. They didn't have to shed their culture overseas and to awaken themselves young here in a land where they were not ruling, but they were being ruled as animals, okay? The African was never placed in that mannerism as a zoo animal that was captured from Africa, okay? Just like they go and they still capture animals from Africa, they captured us as animals. So that is the beginning of our story as African Americans. And we who are Africans in America with origins that date back to the Atlantic slave trade, we have a different story and a different passion, even though I can't necessarily say we absolutely do, because we still have a lot of people, a lot of young men and women who still belittle us for European traits. And this is why my whole theme is about colorism, is because it happens. If we were in Africa, I'm imagining, because I'm Haitian, so I was born in the islands of the Americas. So I'm still African American, because all of this hemisphere is the Americas, be it Haitian or Martinican or Guadeloupean, Francophone. Hi Ivan, je parle français. Okay, or speaking English, the Germanic English, whatever it is, we are Americans. So we are all African Americans. So our stories are the same. There is a difference. I guess if you did not undergo generations ago, okay, that transatlantic trade, yes, you think differently. But the question is there a link in in between us, other than just race, or common ancestral lands that we shared at one point in time, all right, and possibly common lineage and common blood. Um, is there a link that the story itself links back to something? And even and that link might be the same type of thing that include common ancestral um, heritage back in Africa. Because the question is, some whites, well, I'm sure it is in history. Even when I read, because I teach English literature, and yes, they can say, well, it was tampered by the Caucasians, by the Europeans, as far as the way this story is presented. Even though a black man wrote it, who became free. Most of you might have heard of Eluada Equiano. And in Eduardo Equiano, he talks about his own experience as a 16-year-old in the transatlantic slave trade, and how he was sold over. And he does mention the fact that it were blacks like himself who sold him over. They brought him over, because in the continent of Africa, when blacks were being kidnapped, I don't remember if he was like absolutely free prior to being sold to the whites. Okay. Because many of those that were sold into the transatlantic slave trade, some of them were already captives of tribal wars or whatnot. Others may have been slaves and servants to people's houses, and they were captured by their own people and sold over to the whites. Does that mean that the whites did not also capture them? Of course the whites captured them as well, but the thing is, there was a lot of betrayal that happened when our ancestors were sold over. They were not only captured by whites, they were also betrayed by their own blacks. And it is that very betrayal, I think, with it, which is the genesis of colorism. You're going to find the genesis of colorism in that betrayal. Because when I look at my own country of Haiti, okay, and I see slavery is still practiced. Now, a lot of people are going to argue against that. I'm going to repeat myself. Slavery is still happening in Haiti. And that slavery is one of the reasons why there is so much violence in Haiti right now. Okay? Now, I do not have the authority to say more about the violence because I am not paying attention to it. Okay? But the violence, whenever there is inequality, whenever there is injustices being done on human beings, there's always potential for violence. So the violence was just waiting to happen. The potential was always there in Haiti. But what I can speak for my part of my own experience of the slavery in Haiti, even when I was a little girl, I came from Haiti at the age of 6. And even at that time, I was afraid of ever possibly becoming like the woman who used to take care of me. Her name was Jimo. Jimo, means twin. I don't know. I think she was a twin, and therefore that's not her given name. That was just her nickname that everybody called her, and I know her by that name, Jimo. And she was basically not being paid to take care of me. And what gave me the privilege was that my father was left Haiti at age 16 and was always abroad. So he was a foreigner in a way. He was in the Americas making money. So therefore that gave me the privilege of having my own maid. But it's like a slave where, she, and I remember her not being treated right. I remember the brother of the family, because I was in a family where I was the youngest. I was left there by my mother so she could come here. And I remember his yelling at her and not necessarily treating her right. And I'm like, I don't want to be treated that way, And I always remember that. That's why the first thing I got, when I was the first opportunity I had to go to my home city, I went to see Jimo, and it was weird. But that's a story for another day. So, but I did go to see Jimo because I wanted to at least pay her back if I could, because I don't think she was treated fairly, because I know she wasn't being paid. The way the system works in Haiti is that if you have a house, okay, you have shelter, you can harbor people. So it's the same way that they did to the slaves. They had land for the slaves to work on. So if you have shelter, you are taking the person for their parents who may not have shelter out in the country. I don't know what the economic system was back when I was born. Okay, I'm from the 70s. So I don't know what the economic system was to tell you exactly what were the conditions that these people were living in. Like, I'm looking at Kenya, right? And I notice how some of these people who are supposedly poor, they have so much land. I'm like, these people are billionaires in the US. When you look at their land, the taxes alone is like you can't even pay on your salary, okay? In the US. So that in Haiti, people also have, I guess, some kind of degree of land, but they do fight for land, because it's like, I know, like for me, for example, when my grandmother passed away when I was 5, and that might be a reason why I came here, because my grandmother passed away when I was 5, my paternal grandmother. There was a lot of land, and my parents were like, they don't want us to be fighting for land. Okay, so land is it's accessible. It's accessible. People still fight for it, but it's there in Haiti. So I can't necessarily say it's lack of land that causes the slave system, but but I think money, of course, Myra the other day was discussing the value of money. So I'm not gonna go too deeply into that because my whole thing is about colorism and all that, and why Myra needs to stay in Maryland to be well educated on the Black history, so that he can empower us through his art of making YouTube videos rather than destroying us. Okay, so anyway, I think money is involved. Of course, these people, obviously they don't have money. They may have land, but they don't have money. So they would sell their kids over. So, and I guess some of them don't even have land, and this is where I guess the poverty really sheds in, because they don't have the land to farm to make food. So they would give their kids over to people who are in the city, so that they could work in these people's houses, because supposedly those people who are in the city have money. They have a house, they have money. So either so that for food and shelter, some of them promise education to the kids. And that I noticed by watching, I used to watch a lot of Nigerian movies, and I noticed that it's a very similar system that Nigeria has. That's the Haitian system. That they would stay in the house for food and shelter, for boarding, and then until after a certain while, until they are able to stand on their own. But most of the time, these people are not going to let them stay on their own, and this is where I'm talking about slave system. They build a system so that if you are that low, you will never move up. Okay, because it's like an insult to them. So the slave system exists in Haiti. So in such a system, what ends up happening is, when you are not of the color of the racial traits, okay, you're not gonna get anywhere, because they look down so much on you. It's such deep hate, okay, that they're gonna make sure that you don't go beyond where they want you to be. And usually where they want you to be is as a servant in their house, nothing more. You need at their beck and call, okay? And this is the definition of the reste avec, okay? The reste avec is that child or the young person, because they usually take you young. When you get to be old, I don't know, because I'm not in the system to know what they do with the elderly when they get to be, if they survive the beatings and name callings, and any, like, if the person doesn't bring the right change, they start calling them thieves and things like that. If they survive all of that and get to be of senior age, I really don't know what happens to them. Okay, but they're always gonna be the one that's gonna be put down in the system. And where does that come in with colorism? Well, in colorism, as I was saying, if you are of the darker skin, more of the African traits, you are gonna be forced to stay there. Education will be limited. uh, and there's another way that they can keep you down there is they it's like I see that in their church systems